Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, great and wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world. I greet you and I welcome you back to this program. Of course, we try to, do this program earlier, but did not have a good signal. But I believe it will be better. It will be better now. So, of course, it is good to be back. And I thank each and every one of you for your very support, especially AG Bina, Gina AB, Gina. I thank you for your, support. And I thank all of you for your support and the wonderful, messages that you have actually sent through. Thank you very much. So, we are back. And as we are back, we will continue exactly from where we stopped. A lot has transpired, a lot has been happening, and a lot is still going to happen. Sonny Vitis, good evening. A lot is still going to happen, but it is very, very important that we actually start from the current one that we have actually, watched play out few days ago. And then we are going to understand the role of judiciary and the importance of judiciary in a democratic setting. Because the reason why there is three arms of government in a democratic settings mostly is because people that are actually unable to defend themselves against the big people. Typical example, the poor against the rich. The only place where they are going to be on equal right or be having an equal right is inside the law court. That's where they are going to actually have the right. That's where they are going to be given a hope that they are human. Inside the court of law is where the poor people are given a hope to show them that they are human and they are not less human. But, of course, we are seeing the type of democracy that we are practicing in most African countries. And this democracy that we are practicing in these most African countries, it is what, bring coup d'etat. It is the type of democracy that brings coup d'etat. And the reason why it must bring coup d'etat or revolution, it is because inside the book, we are democratic nation. Inside the book, we are democratic nation. But in action, we are military regime. We are under military regime. That is exactly what it looks like. Now let's take, for example, as we title this, the role of judiciary inside the democratic setting. Now when you look at it, there is three arms of government which consist of executive, legislature, and judiciary. And all these arms of government supposed to be independent of each other, and that if they cannot be independent of each other, it is not an arm of government. There is no way one of these arms of government will actually, be dictating for the other arm. You cannot dictate for the other arm of government. It's like a country where there is decentralization of power. Decentralization of power, where you have a minister, like Minister of Infrastructure, supposed to handle the infrastructural development, and that infrastructural development, then it will be oversight by probably the what do you call them, like EFCC and the SSS. They will do the oversight, making sure that there is no corruption in that sector. Making sure there is no corruption in that sector. That is the only thing. There is nobody who need to question them on their activities until the day they will do audit. The time they will do their financial audit, their expenditure, their profit, and all this. And is there any wasteful expenditure? That's when the question comes in. But in a situation whereby you hire the minister, you cannot continue to run the day-to-day activities of the minister or try to know the day-to-day activities of the minister. But once it reaches financial year, when audit will be conducted, if the audit is actually on a negative, that means that's when you are going to know whether you are going to actually check the competency of this minister towards the position where they occupy. But in a situation whereby you don't find any negative audit, there is no way you are going to, interfere with the good job they are doing, because their department is independent, but not actually immune to investigation. Have you now seen that? That's where, police department, state security comes in, where they are going to enforce the law, making sure that there is nobody is actually complicit in their position. That is exactly what you call democratic nation. Democratic nation. When you are made a board chairman, you discharge your own, activity without disturbance. You discharge your competency, the merit of your competencies without disturbance. That is democracy. Because if you are unable to discharge these duties, that means you do not have the competency to be in a position where you found yourself. Now, if you cannot have a competency to be in a particular position, you will never excel in such position. That is the reason why there are three arms of government in every democratic country. Where there is constitutional democracy, there is, always three arms of government in where there is a constitutional democracy. And each of them are independent. Now, when there is one of the arms, started losing their independence, that means the setup of whatever system they call democracy is not working in that place anymore, because everything is turned upside down. Let's think about it. Now, in a democratic dispensation, the reason why there is three arms of government is to have people's representative in one room, to have every, let's say, constituencies or every, region, they will have their own representative that represent them in the legislature, in the house of, in the house. Now, if they have all these representatives, it is the voice of the people. Democracy represents even the people who are actually, living in a very remote area. Democracy represents them. Democracy represents the poor, the poorest of the poor. Democracy represents them. That is exactly, democracy make people know their importance, know their position, where they come from. That is the reason why whenever there is election, you will find people electioneering by going to the houses belonging to the poor people and start eating with them, or start opening their fridge, pouring themselves water, if there is even fridge there. They will bring themselves they will bring themselves so that people will say, no, these people are so humble. He deserves to be a president. He deserves to be a governor. So they will bring themselves to your own, level, just to ask for your vote. Just to use you to confuse, to actually convince people out there that they are humble enough to be their leader, because that is what a leader is supposed to be. A leader is supposed to be as humble as an employee. As humble as an employee, because he is the employee of that nation. So in every constituencies, they have their own representative in the parliament who will speak on their behalf, who will get their own, who will get their own allocation. At the end of the day, imagine if the place where people are speaking on your behalf is there, and the place where the center of the government, that they will submit their own opinion, and they will, after deliberation and agreement, the central government, which is the executive, will sign it into law. Sign it into law, because he is the highest authority. He will sign it into law. Now, immediately when it is signed into law, that's where the judiciary now defines the law. Look at that. Have you now seen that if one is complicit, you will not have a working democracy? Because once one is complicit, there is no law and order. There will be no law and order. Things will be upside down. That is the reason why when you see any place where the judiciary is not independent, look at the economy of that country. Look at the state of their infrastructure. Look at the leadership, patterns. Look at everything. You will see things will be different. Things will be working differently. Do you know why? The reason being is because there is something missing. There is something seriously missing, because the place where you set up to carry, maybe 3 people only, and now you enforce 6 people or more than 6, people to occupy such a position. It will bring about, maybe it might bring the place to collapse. It will indeed collapse. It's like a 2-bedroom, apartment or 2-bedroom house foundation. Now, someone will go and build maybe a 2-story building on top of it. You are building to collapse. You have actually erected an improper fraction. Now, in a situation like this, the place will collapse. Have you seen what is happening in your country? Ask yourself a very important question. Why is it that ever since you were born, you have never seen where, your right, you exercise your right and you are respected as a bona fide citizen of the nation, or even if you are, no matter what you are, as long as you are doing what you're supposed to do, your right of everything is reserved. Your right is, must be respected. So when there is no democracy, who will make sure? When there is no justice system, who will make sure that your right is protected? So if there is no justice system inside your democracy, there has, the right to vote and to be voted for is gone. If there is no justice system, the right to vote and be voted for is gone. That's why people can rig an election whenever they want, because they have actually taken away your right to vote and your right to be voted for. So one particular group of cabals will be recycling inside the leadership position. The economy becomes, will be placed on a limbo, and the people of the, of the country will now be running away and be displaced due to economic hardship or economic, there is no economic opportunity. That is the reason why the country will never work, because there is no way all this cabalism will allow the system to work properly. When we are talking about cabals, don't forget those people who are, called the peripheral man, the peripheral issue. Those Britain who rule you from Britain, don't forget them. They are also there, attacking your own, way of survival. How then do you think you are going to, survive as people? It is going to be very difficult for you to survive. That's why you see in Nigeria today. Uche Odumegwu. Welcome, great brothers. Anthony, okay. Gilbert, Chuku, Ebuka, okay. Welcome. I haven't, you say, where have you been or longest time? I was actually having a funeral. That's why I haven't been around. I was mourning my loved one. So that's why. But now we are back. We continue where we've stopped. Good afternoon, Paul. Chico de Pauline. Okay, Chinasa Pauline Dikocha. Your name is quite long. Chinasa Pauline Dikocha Alakwe. Ndewo Wachineke. I see you. Welcome. So we continue. Now in your country called Nigeria, where there was amalgamation in 1914, and this amalgamation was overseen by the Britain. This amalgamation was actually, initiative of somebody that is not part of you. Somebody that does not come from where you come from. This amalgamation was done by another race. So they are actually going to claim the ownership of you. As long as you are not the one who give title deed to a particular piece of land or in fact, as long as you are not the one who has the title deed or power of attorney of a particular property, you will never have access. You will never have access to own it fully, or you will never have access to make use of that such, property. So Nigeria and the Nigerian people does not have the ownership or the title of, will I say, the amalgamation that was done against, in fact, I will say against the people who are found in this geographical location called Nigeria, or this geopolitical location called Nigeria. The people who are found in these locations, they are not actually, aware of how they got together, but they just found themselves together. And that is the reason why tribalism is the order of the day. That is the reason why you will see economic disparity is the order of the day. That's the reason why they tell you that you have a very dangerous diversity. That is the reason why people will come into your land instead of living in a good house. They will decide to live in the bush, because they don't have any mind of working with you or developing anything for you, because you have been enemy historically. So because of that, this amalgamation is a sinful amalgamation. The sinner man called Lord Lugard and Flora Shaw decided to bring this dangerous diversity, the mixture of oil and water, to see if it is going to, work on the mind. Since I am able to control the Fulanese, since I am able to control the Hausas in a way, let me bring this south. Let me bring the people of Yoro Oduduwa and the people of Biafra. Let us plan amalgamation, because there must not oil in their land. Once I am able to bring them together with these people, they claim they are solving the budget deficit of the North. Why was it all about to solve the budget deficit of the northern Nigeria? So they had a budget deficit. They were told that they have a budget deficit. Having seen there is oil in the north, there is uranium in the north, there is gold in the north, in the northern Nigeria. There is uranium in the northern Nigeria. There is californium in the northern Nigeria. There is opium, I believe, in the northern Nigeria. There is a lot of things in the northern Nigeria. They have also Tinore. They have, they have these things. But they were not told. They were not told that these things exist. But they told you they want to solve your budget deficit. That is the reason why the amalgamation was done. We are going to solve your budget deficit by giving you in charge, or the charge of police and the military. Once you take charge of police and military, of course you are on the executive position, which is the president of the country, who control the military, even in the states. Provincial military, he controlled the state military. So this is exactly the reason why we find ourselves grappling with this so-called forceful unity. Every time what we hear, peace and unity, when there can never be peace, because the people that are preaching peace and unity with a microphone, they are the people who come to your land and live in the bush, because they don't want to develop where you come from. They see you to be the most stupid person by leaving your land and going to develop where they come from. That is oil and water forcing each other to mix together. When they are already saturated, they don't, in fact, they don't even want to see each other. So how then do you think it is going to work? People say we are dividing the country. We are dividing the country. The country is already divided because there are two people who are actually called secessionists in Nigeria. Those two people who are called secessionists in Nigeria, Sunday Igboho and then Nnamdi Kanu. Nnamdi Kanu was first, captured. To talk about the way he was captured, that is another, mysterious thing. That is another break of law. So, he is captured, brought back to Nigeria through extraordinary rendition. Instead of going through a due process of rendition, they went through extraordinary rendition. And at the end of the day, they kept him on arbitrary detention. They kept him in arbitrary detention. And today, Nnamdi Kanu is still in the DSS custody. Not even in prison. Not in awaiting trial. He is still in the DSS dungeon. Holding cell. DSS holding cell. That's where he is. Many of his rights has been violated. He is still there. Now, Binta, the court of Binta Nyako, who is supposed to, be, or who is supposed to be independent of her position, because immediately when you are being given, directive on how to discharge your competency in a particular field, that means you are automatically incompetent to be in such field, or you are actually an amateur that is trying to see if he is going to obtain a competency. Those are the people who are given directive on how to carry out their profession, except if you are already biased in the seat, in that profession, in that professional seat where you have found yourself. If you are not already biased, I believe that there is nobody who will give you a directive that will make sense to you, other than the directive that you know that is working as per the law of such position where you found yourself. But in a situation whereby you find yourself in a particular position of a law, a very vital position in the country that holds the country, the country's dignity, and you are being dictated for or to on how to carry out your duty. People of, this is shameful. It is quite shameful, because the position of, Justice Binta Nyako is a position that is very, very, important. It is a very important position that she is not supposed to use that position. The world is watching. The investors are watching. The people who claim they are going to create a good environment or a good atmosphere to attract the investors to create jobs, it is not the duty of the executive or the president to create a job in a country, as the politicians say. Femi Adesina said that, 2 years ago or a year ago, that it is not the duty of the president to create job or the government to create job. Look at that. But it is the duty of him or her to create a good atmosphere that will attract investors to come in and create jobs and give you employment. Now, in that situation, wow, what message are you going to send to these, investors? That your judiciary is being controlled, not independent. That your judiciary cannot carry out a particular case independently. That your judiciary is grown complicit in trying or handling their own cause. Now, what impression is it going to give those who are coming to create employment for those Nigerians, those poor Nigerians who have skills but does not have anybody to give them job in the area of their skills? They will resolve into Yahoo. They will resolve into different set of things. The same government will enforce the law in order to punish them. The government that could not create job for them, the government that could not do anything for them, will come back and hand them over to USA to come and take them. Look at that. I am not in any way condoning Yahoo. But let's tell each other the truth. The government that did not make any provision for you to get anything or to help yourself to get a job or to live a good life. No provision to give you a sewage system. No provision to give you a steady electricity. At least if you know how, you will have a startup. Something that you get easily without having to, work hard for it. Where is the atmosphere that attract investors or that make it easier for these, upcoming entrepreneurs to be able to carry out their businesses in a way that it will be less cost, it will be cost effective, or cost, that you will spend less and establish more. Because when you buy petrol to power your generator, what is that going to be? You are actually having to, you need more capital to start up anything, because you have to start budgeting for electricity. You have to start budgeting for security. So think about it. The government is not working in that area. It is not, because the government is incompetent. That is the reason why if you go to their judiciary, the judiciary cannot do anything for you because the government is incompetent. The government does not know the interest of the people and do not care about the interest of the people. The government does what he wants and what his European counterpart orders him to do. That's what they do, because they are after fiat money. They are after fiat money from IMF and the World Bank. Chibaik Biafra, thank you very much. And Gilbert Chukwubikem, thank you very much for the support. Condolence. So, they are chasing after fiat money because they know that the only weapon you have against them is in the judiciary. Because you can take a particular government to court. You can take a particular minister to court. So they decided that this court, we need to be in control of the court, because once they capture the court, they have captured the mind of everybody, including the poor and the rich, whether you like it or not, by fire, by force, because there is no one to defend you. And when no one will defend you, you will say to yourself, we'll resolve to, if we cannot beat them, we join them. Those slogan, it is a very dangerous slogan. If you can't beat them, you join them. There is a lot of meaning you can read out of it. So that is the reason why they are using judiciary to frustrate the movement for referendum. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is proposing for referendum. He is not proposing for secession. But if you believe that he does not have right as a person in the country, that's when, people have to show you that they have right. And you cannot violate their right when they know it is in the book that you are sworn in with, that it is the right of everybody, the right to vote and the right to be voted for, the right to have equal economic opportunity, regardless of how diverse the country is, regardless of how the religious differences or cultural differences, equal economic opportunity, equal service delivery. But you deprive that service delivery from the people. You are taking the resources, the natural resources that is made from the ground that belongs to the people. You are extracting them, selling it to your European friends, taking fiat money, putting in your pocket, and giving microphone promises all over the place. That is exactly what need to tell you that the judiciary is very important. When judiciary fails, the country fails, because judiciary will be able to handle the issue of bad governance and issue a directive. Judiciary will be able to handle the issue of election malpractice and hand a judgment that will stand for the cheated. But where there is no judiciary, there will be no one to stand for you. Therefore, you are standing alone. It is you against the law, or you against the leader, or you against the poor. Because one thing must happen. You see, the situation of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu being in the dungeon of the DSS, the judiciary could not transfer him to the prison yard or to transfer him to correctional center, where everybody who they've said they committed a crime is placed. They transferred the leader of terrorists. They transferred the terrorists from Boko Haram. They placed them in the correctional facility. But in Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's issue, they place him in a solitary confinement belonging to the DSS. Now think about it. This is a mind torture. Mind torture. That is to show you have a failed, democracy. You have a failed judiciary. You have a failed, lawmakers. That's what you have. Now let us go ahead and read the outcome of the court a few days ago. The outcome of Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's court a few days ago. Let us go ahead and read. I'm going to read from Punch. Pay attention. I'm going to read from Punch. Now, just one moment. Let me read It says we are going to read and analyze. Read and analyze. We have 20 minutes to finish this program. Let us read and analyze, then we call it a day. Court rejects Nnamdi Kanu's house arrest, fresh bail request. The Federal High Court, Abuja, on Monday. Let me see if I'm coming out. Okay, the Federal High Court, Abuja, on Monday dismissed the request of the detained leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, for bail or to be moved from the Department of State Security Service custody to a prison or house arrest. Now, the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, said the same request had been brought before her by the defendant and it was dismissed for lack of merit. It was dismissed for lack of merit, okay? While delivering her rule, Justice Nyako held that she found as a fact that Kanu jumped bail when he was earlier granted, okay? What is jumping bail, Mr. Justice Nyako? Now, I want us to now find out or understand exactly what Nyako was saying. He said that Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail. And what is jumping bail to a sitting justice, a sitting judge? A well-renowned justice, or not renowned, a well-qualified Justice Nyako. A well-qualified Justice Binta Nyako said that Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail. Knowing that Nnamdi Kanu was forced to actually jump bail by the Nigerian military, well orchestrated by the executive of Nigeria executives, well orchestrated by the Nigeria executive. If Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was granted bail and he is sitting in his place, and the military came to, not to take him or to arrest him, but started shooting sporadically to an extent of unaliving 28 able-bodied men from his house. Unaliving 28 able-bodied men from his house. What does that tell you? These people come to eliminate. They came to unalive. Now, at the end of the day, this man was able to escape. A sitting judge said that it is still jumping bail. When one runs away for their lives, there is an adage that says, he who fight and run away live to fight another day. So if Nnamdi Kanu was actually shot, unalived by the Nigerian military, just like they did to Fela, during the time of Obasanjo. Had it been he was unalived, who is going to now stand that trial? Of course, you guys will also say that he jumped bail after the military must have unalived him. The same Binta Nyako will agree that Nnamdi Kanu jumped bail. So how can a person who is not alive stand trial? Because he ran for his life. A well-qualified judge, Binta Nyako, you see it to be a jump of bail or in contempt of court. You named it in contempt of court. That is to show everyone that all this, long story to cut it short, Nigeria judiciary is captured. and controlled by executive. I believe there is even external power that controls the Nigeria judiciary. Because when we see such things happening, first of all, let's take out the issue of jumping bail aside. Let's talk about the issue of extraordinary rendition, which you heard from Nnamdi Kanu himself in the court, quoted the Constitution of Nigeria, which cannot violate, you cannot violate international treaty. You cannot violate the law and come back to say that you are helping to uphold the law. You cannot break the law and come to say that you are fighting for the law. Because to fight for the law, you must fight for the law through the law. You must fight for the law according to the law. You cannot fight for the law outside the law, because that is actually breaking of the law. So, which takes away the jurisdiction of Nigeria to try Nnamdi Kanu. It has been our slogan. It has been our slogan. You cannot try somebody after violating their right or breaking the law that protects their right. You cannot do that. You cannot bring them to the law as long as you have violated them. You have violated the law in the process of bringing them to the law. So when you bring them to the law will have to now correct you before actually thinking of, how to compensate the person you have violated their right. Before you think about the person you have violated their right. That is it. So, with all due respect, the Nigeria court is playing with the minds of the people. And the people of Nigeria, their minds are so, uninformed, I believe. To be fair, they are ignorant, uninformed. Because uninformation, make people to be ignorant. And they are ignorant of the fact that judiciary is actually what makes a democratic dispensation, because judiciary protect the right of everybody against even the leaders. That is the judiciary. So in a situation whereby there is no judiciary, there is no country under democracy. That means military regime. And that's exactly where Nigeria is right now. Military regime. So, if we are going to, bring our dignities back, the only thing that is going to help us or make us feel like we are human again, it is to call for referendum for people to decide if they are going to still live according to the initiative of Lord Lugard, if they will still live according to the rules or directive of a man who come from Europe and gave them a name like you give a dog a name, you own the dog. That's why you must go to Chatham House before you run for president in Nigeria. So they own the dog, they own you, because if you don't have a name you give to your dog, you don't own it. So they own you. And until you call for a revolution that will lead you to referendum, they will never cease to own you. Until you call for a revolution that leads to referendum, they will never cease to own you. Because as it is now, don't let anybody to tell you, do nothing. It is time for revolution. It is time for revolution. Because you are a Yoruba man, you see Nnamdi Kanu, his right being violated in the court. Tomorrow it will be you. You see, Chukwuka Ofebu, it has happened to him because he saw other people going through that just because he don't like them. And he does not know that the same system is going to come back affecting him. The same applicable to all those people that he's been recruiting, speaking jargon and lies against their own people because they want to make name for themselves. Because as according to, for a black man, they are looking for the realm light. They aren't looking for their their way of freedom and emancipation. It's all about the realm light. Had it been a black people are looking for the the ownership, to have the sense of ownership of whom they are, of what they are, or their intellectual properties, there is no way they are going to still be in their predicament. But they just look for realm light. That's why you see most of your musicians especially in the United States, they are being controlled. The inventions of black people all over the world is being controlled. They give you rules to actually roll in your domain. Our intellectual property stolen. It keeps giving them money, but you just was paid out of it because you have no choice. You have no choice. You need that money. How long are we supposed to be needing that money instead of having to build a future that will never end in red, a future that will continue to be green? Because we are building future that is ending in red. Under pressure, survival mode. We need to start building the future that will end in green. I know Facebook does not like in fact, they have never liked me, and I don't care. We speak the truth the way it is. Nigeria's system of democracy is a fraudulent system of democracy, and we cannot live by it. We must find a way to have the revolution that will help our posterity to thrive. Other than that, we are going to continue to grapple with all these problems. It is in Nnamdi Kanu today. Tomorrow it will be you. It will be another person. It will be anybody. Our people need to wake up. Not our people, the people of Nigeria. Anybody who will wake up in Nigeria and tell you Nigeria is working, that person is either in Europe, living in Europe. For you to see how selfish and stupid these people can be, they will live in Europe, London. Live in Europe, London, doing their menial jobs. In a survival mode, though, they will tell you, I believe in Nigeria is going to work. Some people will tell you that Nigeria need more time. After 6 decades, Nigeria need more time. Some people will tell you that we don't need division anymore. Do you know the meaning of division? Division is when we say that we are separating from Nigeria to go and form our own continent. That is division. But as long as we are actually saying that we want to leave Nigeria because the system is not working for us, we can leave Nigeria, build our own nation. Since an Hausa man does not build a good house in Igbo man land, on Igbo in Ijaw man land, they only stay in the bush or stay in the back or do get man for you. But you go their house, their area, you build their mansion, build flat. Look at that. It's not supposed to be on one-sided. The country is actually divided. It has been divided. It's just that the Biafrans are not seeing it. Boycott Lagos, boycott the North, Bring business back home. Let your customers become, you know, let your customers look for you. Bring that money to your area. Bring that tax to your own, area. Then you will understand the importance of you going to expand everywhere. But you are not expanding from where you come from. Do that. You will see them begging you to go, because there is nothing that is, they are no longer holding you on ransom. They're no longer holding you on ransom. You are not, you are no longer, mostly needed. It is only the oil in your land. But as long as you are patronizing those areas, building houses, developing their economy, developing their infrastructure while your own is unbuilt, and when they come to your own, they will not even want to do anything. The only thing they will have, maybe Ghana must go, Usuanyawa. That is what they have. That's why when they want to lay their attack massively, you wake up in the midnight, you will see many people unalived, and the people will carry their Ghana must go also. They will run away. That's the danger of those who does not have anything to lose but living in your community. And that is exactly, some of the things you should consider and understand the danger behind illegality of these people coming into your area without having an address. That's what led to all this Boko Haram, all these Fulani headsmen clashing everywhere and aliving innocent communities and farmers, because they come and live in their bushes. They don't have address. They have nothing to lose. They just on a conquest mission. They want to conquer you through the bush. They want to do you guerrilla warfare through the bush. That's exactly what they've been doing. So how then are we going to survive? How then are we going to change this narrative if we cannot actually rise up to demand for what is rightfully us? What is rightfully ours is the right to vote and the right to be voted for. It is the right to have a justice system that stands on behalf of the poor. The right to have, equality in the eyes of the law. That is what you are looking for. That is what you've been clamoring for. And under this, system in Nigeria, it is not going to be possible, because it has never been possible. In the last 60 years, we are told that a fool at 40 is a fool forever. Nigeria is 60 and something. So Nigeria has no, they will never go good. They will never go good. It is to start over. Break the foundation because it is faulty, and start over. Instead of investing more on a faulty foundation, you are going to lose more when the repercussion of being, building improper fraction comes. You are going to lose more. While we are at it, let there be referendum. Those who want to be with Janjaweed, they go with Janjaweed. Those who want to be with the nomads, they go with the nomads. Those who want to be with anybody, they go with anybody. As long as we have people of like minds together to foster growth and move what they have forward. That's exactly what we are looking for. If need be, there will be a multilateral or bilateral relationship amongst oneself. Then, life goes on. If you want to have open border policy, If you meet a criteria to join the open border policy, you haven't have open border policy, because you must have a criteria to join the open border policy. You will not see a country like Nigeria, you do open border policy with them. One day people will just, that same day you open that border, everyone from Nigeria will run into your country. You will not even see space for your people again. Because number one, Nigeria has a porous border. People go in and out of Nigeria, do what they want. They have a porous border. They go in and out to do what they want. People come in today, become citizens tomorrow. Of course, in Nigeria, there is a liberty, freedom, because the government, concern them. They are on top there. They don't know what the people down there are facing, and they will never know, because that is how they were positioned to be. This is where I am going to leave it. Until we meet again, share the video, invite others to join. Bye for now.